All right, something that has now come up. When I first, and this is quite about a decade ago now. I was an old dude when I really started kicking it with some of the older mods, and then the skinheads. And I didn't really hang out with the skinheads because they all knew each other for a really long time, the local crew. Um, but there were people that they embraced me because I was into the same shit, such as
I want all you skinheads to get up on your feet. Put your braces together and your boots on your feet. And give me some of that old moon stomping.
Look at that. Isn't that nice?
Get ready.
Look at that. Isn't that takes a while to get it that
So let's start getting happy now.
Wait.
Ready? Yeah.
That's reggae. Because skinheads were the white fans of reggae music in Britain. They were the mods, or modernists. You'll know some of these modernists. One is named David Bowie. Another that many people are familiar with is a mod named Sting. He was even in one of the most famous mod movies, Quadrophenia. Here's some more skinheads from Britain. See, in Britain, because of all the immigration from Jamaica, you started to get at, say, pubs like the Black Boy or the Last Resort. I believe Last Resort was a pub. You have these nights where the Jamaicans would put on music, and they would have bands like this. Now all you fellas to get around me. Now we're gonna start stomping. Ready? Because the fans were so into the music, the groups dedicated songs to them, whole albums. Jamaican reggae artists and highly trained musicians saw this crowd, and that's why Americans even know what reggae is now. It had no popularity in the United States whatsoever until the early to late 70s. You find a skinhead, and they probably are fans of the Ethiopians. Often, they attended parties that played a thing called Northern Soul, because it was the specific type of soul music played in the clubs, or not even clubs, like Wigan Casino, Wiggan Casino. These kids would show up, and they had all their little soul, like, clubs trading records. These white kids would have bags full of records, and then they would dance all night. They called it raving up all night. A lot of these places were practically abandoned old buildings. By the time, say, in the 90s, when I had heard of a thing called raves that they would try to hold in abandoned buildings, they would talk about, oh yeah, this was something they used to do a long time ago, and it went eastward and then came back to America. And that's what we're experiencing now. In the 90s, they were soul parties based off of the old rent parties in black neighborhoods, where people would have a party where everyone would bring their records because they need and give like $1 or $2. They'd have a few refreshments, but, you know, they could get paid back quite a bit of money because they had a record player. People wanted to hear music because record players were expensive. And people brought their records. And so you would dance all night and, you know, try not to cause any trouble, you know, and hopefully at the end of the night you'd collect enough money that you could pay the rent. All this business now about people talking alt-right skinhead, they're just throwing skinhead, Nazi, white supremacists. This has always been a problem for skinheads ever since it really became popular in the 70s as a fashion among the punk rockers, the fundamentally younger siblings of the original 65 through 1969 skinheads. By the 70s, you start seeing punk rockers dressed up in the garb of skinheads, and that the punk rockers, being kind of buffs of fashion, most of the look was the tough modernist look that would have been associated with skinheads. So some had wild and crazy hair, but then there was specifically the neat look of the skinhead. Relatively nice jeans, not all dirty with scum on them and stuff like that. Clean t-shirt, the braces got thinner and thinner and stuff, and that was even like a fashion thing that would, from what I understand, was popular on the continent, actually, like in Italy or something. It was borrowed by the British. It was something that showed up on Carnaby Street and on the high streets. And that's what it was about. It was about young guys looking good. It really was. It was about the young women looking good. The mini skirts, the tennis dresses, the Fred Perrys, the Ben Shermans, the Dr. Martens, the American Levi's. It was fashion. And it was the fashion among the harder, poorer youth that were now a group that were starting to get employed. And they were buying the new sound of the day, reggae. This is what everybody's listening to over there in Jamaica. People's cousins, fathers, uncles had served in the Imperial Army and maybe were stationed in Jamaica at some point. And so this was like, they were all under the crown. So they were all subjects of the Queen Mother of the empire. There was a kind of pride that we cannot understand in America. By the time we get the whole skinhead thing as a package, this is during the punk rock era. And so you mostly see it manifest among groups like Iron Cross, which is very reactionary, very patriotic, but isn't necessarily white supremacist. That's more something that came specifically out of a music group, Screwdriver, and then other associated bands that associate along those lines. But most of the music that, like, I found I just gravitated toward it naturally always, was really hard punk, and I realized what I liked was oi. And that's what the Skinheads really liked too. And the Skinheads liked good, aggressive. Listen to this. That's aggressive. You don't have people simple and aggressive. People don't make music like that now. It's complicated, wimpy, effete, crunchy granola, vegan. It's pathetic. These Antifa types, they're weak punks. They're like weirdos. They're everybody's like weird younger siblings. Like, they're just weirdos. And their punk rock sounds like shit. And so it's like, I don't even know if the scene is still going. I don't give a fuck anymore. In a way, I don't give a fuck. It's just because so many young people have rejected any form of traditionalism. And that is actually one of the things about the Skinheads. Because they were poor and modernists, they valued tradition. They actually saw themselves as fundamentally opposed to the hippies. And so when I hear like Legend, Bob Marley's Legend, to me it's just Bob on skag. Everyone there is just hitting the fucking skagging it up. That's what they're doing, skagging it up. And that's all that it is. That's all, just drinking and skag. That's all it sounds like to me. And all that hippie shit is just a bunch of heroin. And it just drunk, lush shit. Like 90s top 40 rock, It's just lush music. And so listen to the speed of that. It's reggae, but something's in it because that's how reggae is supposed to sound. It's supposed to be danceable. It's slowed down because everybody started getting fucked up all the time doing heroin, and they got old. Most importantly, people get old and they slow the songs down. And it's sad. So nobody gets the proper timing after that. But that's just a totally other thing to talk about sometime. But all this business about people lumping skinheads in with all this other shit, there is only one place where this makes sense. Because the black rude boys and the white skinheads were the same scene. They naturally were two different groups. They were naturally two different groups. But they were mates because they were just mates. They grew up together. They played football together. They boxed together. They shot snooker together. So they were mates. But everybody understood they were different people. And that was okay. That's one of the things that actually I respected so much about that scene is people were like, no, I am Irish. I'm of Irish descent. I'm Catholic. I like reggae. I like this old reggae. I like oi. I like punk. I like a lot of this, the mod, the rock and roll from the mod period. One of the biggest songs that you could put on, like as you're building up the night, is Green Onions. Yes, Green Onions, Booker T and the MGs, all the mods and all the skinheads jump out and start getting their dance on because that's what it's about. What the fuck is happening to no, don't eat my CD. What are you doing? Come on, stop. Excellent. Putting the Maloika on the machine. See, Maloika. So all this lumping all these people together and stuff. No, there's nothing. The white nationalists are white nationalists. You respect them for what they really are. And it's not, oh, they're racist, blah, blah, blah. No, these people have the same argument that a lot of black organizations have. They're not making an argument that's that different than the Nation of Islam. People just don't listen to the Nation of Islam. People don't listen to the Hebrew Israelites. They just don't care. This is what's most interesting. And I think a lot of like black militant type, very pro-black people should get this. No, you don't get it. These Antifa people, these white punks, these white socialists and stuff that, or these anarcho-syndicalists, they don't care about your ideas at all. They would never, they don't give a shit. They do not, you could literally say something horrible. Like in when the new order comes, we're going to rape your mama, and they'll just be like, duh, because they're not even, dude, you all aren't getting it. They have no, you don't, like all they care about is using you as a part of their banner. They're just waving, I'm waving the pro-blacks around. You think they're going to be on your side when the revolution is over. And it's like, no, you'll be a fraction of their number. Like, what are you not seeing here? And there won't be money. Who do you think's going to be running the show after all of this? Like, what you think? No, sorry, brothers, you will not be running a fucking thing, dumbasses. And you only would find this out if you really listened to black Cubans. If you listen to people from Cuba who escaped and are like, no, you need to sit down and listen to what communism is really about. This is what really happened to us. But because I'm telling you, these white Antifa types, they don't give a fuck that these people got their families killed. They don't give a shit about that. The revolution never gives a shit. The revolution never cares. The revolution has a checklist, and if you're on that list, or if you're too close by, whatever, it doesn't matter, because the revolution is what matters, not the people. And all these dummies get this wrong, generation after generation after generation. The women really, really don't get this. Oh, so now universal health care, but you have a right to choose, or after the revolution, will you? What if you need babies? Ever thought about that? What if there was an illness that killed a bunch of people and we desperately need babies? Got a right to choose now? The revolution might say different, honey. Might say different. See, being a skinhead, one of the things about it is you're not a buster. You know, when you've dealt with enough people who, because skinheads are very lost. As in the world of skinhead, there's a documentary, look it up, especially you foppish Antifas who live up in Portland. You should look that one up. World of Skinhead. Skinheads are very lost. And a big part of it is that for many of us, it's mostly a boys club. And a big part of it is that we are looking for something that we simply cannot find in our culture. A type of unity, a type of something that's modern, something that is unified, but something that also recognizes the individual, and a simple and almost juvenile love. Like that girl, that first girlfriend that you just never wanted to let go. Most of the skinheads I know have been through a wife or two, or they got about this far from the altar before something went wrong. It's a lost group. It's a troubled group. It attracts, the music even attracts a certain type of personality. The whole style, the whole music, everything. Antifa sort of has, there's an offshoot with the anarcho-communist, anarcho-syndicalist types. They're an offshoot. The anti-racist action people, they're all an offshoot. And really, now everything is becoming clear about a lot of stuff. That this probably did have a lot to do with Jamaicans and Pakistanis becoming the criminal class often in Britain, when there was full employment during like the late 60s, an artificial full employment, which fell apart. The economy fell apart, so that by the 70s, when punk comes around, the punk is a reaction to the economy totally collapsing. And that's when you see truly the violent British white nationalist, what was it, BNP, or National Front. Why am I, the specials? Why am I'm always being chased by the National Front? Because there was a generation then of new mods, the new wave, in a way. But they're a big part of the new wave music and stuff. And it especially seemed to attract a lot of gay groups and gay acts. And that eventually all morphs into like the Human League, electronica, acid house. Look up acid house. Just look it up. By that time, ecstasy has hit Britain. Ecstasy hit Britain first. It hit us later, really. And Acid House is a really good place where you could see how the whole thing changed. You look at Wigan Casino in Northern Seoul, then you look at Acid House in London. You look at the Twisted Wheel in London. That I think the longest that it's either Twisted Wheel or the Flaming Torch. The two longest running in the world parties. They ran something like every once a week or twice a week, like in London, for something like 8 years straight. They were like one of the longest running, like just single thing. All they played was soul music. And this is such a big deal. YouTube became where these people all re-met each other. In the comments section, you could see these people writing back and forth to one another because there was limited footage of these clubs. And when it finally got posted onto YouTube, people started looking at it being like, oh, I remember those days, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, this becomes a documentary on Northern Seoul. Eventually, all of this becomes This Is England, the story of all those skinhead kids. All of this came back and is only about 5 years old. This is all like stuff that, I mean, Amy Winehouse was a part of the skinhead revival and the skinhead scene. Duffy. Like, I play Duffy and the skinheads and the mods jump out on the floor. Like, people don't know because they don't understand. They just don't know. And I've really noticed this among these like anti-racist, like these pro-crazy gender, sparkle-tarded people who really think like they're into all of the cool things. They're so goddamn hip. They eat at all the places and they drink all the stupid drinks. And it's like, but you have no fucking style. You're all wimps and you have no style. And that's the whole thing is back in the day, you couldn't be a wussy, you couldn't be a wimp, and you had to have some style. You had to have some kind of style. That's the whole thing about today with this generation of people who their art doesn't even have to be good. Squirrel Girl looks like some child's drawing it. Like Marvel is garbage now because you don't have to be good. You could just be terrible at art and it doesn't matter. You're some special snowflake, so now everybody's got to treat you like you are a fucking accomplished artist, or you're good, or you could be compared to an accomplished artist. And it's just foppishness, just fops and losers. This is and who really can't rock a night. They can't make a scene. This is why so much rock and roll has just been such a shit scene since about the mid to late 90s. That just nobody has it anymore. And it's because even if somebody has it, what does it matter if, they're one group and the other, out of 10, there's only one group that has it and the other 9 are still playing at Dirt Fest and playing it like, playing with, funk jamaroo, and stuff. And that people are paying hundreds of dollars like mark-ass busters to see this bullshit. And so they have nothing. I had to say this to some young skinheads. I'm like, look at them. And there's all these like college kids like, oh, this is super rage. And it's like XX or something, or Mike Snow playing. Like, they don't have shit. You guys have a connection to 60 years of history just in what you listen to. Look at the way you're dressed. Women look at you and they want to know who you are. And you're cheating your ways into bars. Like you dress nice enough that people don't look at you twice, even though you're obviously not old enough to be in a bar. I'm like, these fuckers, they have to do this house party shit because they look like children way into their adulthood. They're dorks. Their music is shit. Their whole style they don't have a style. And more and more I realized it's just people who are extraordinarily normal. And it's okay that they don't have style. But it would be nice if they became normal, dorky ass parents and just demanded that somebody not take money out of their pockets. But instead, they become this generation of activist losers who have shit taste, shit style, and they have very little to offer the world anymore as a generation. And it's just sad. It's just sad to see that there's so much stuff that had been done so well, and there is this generation that is more than willing to flush it all down the memory hole. It, to the point where they're even altering Google so you can't find things. It's like, you dummies, you stupid morons. All these female singer-songwriters that it's like, have none of you ever heard of this? I just can't even imagine, like, how it must hurt some old black female singers just to be so forgotten, to be so fucking forgotten. These women, the white country singers, that it's like, does anybody remember Crystal Gale? It's like, does anybody remember what was it? It was Crystal Gale, wasn't it? Crystal Gale, Loretta Lynn, and Dolly Parton. Was it those three? And they called them the three, not the three sisters, the three. No, I'm forgetting what they had a name, and oh my god, they were incredible during their time. They made incredible music, and Dolly Parton, and when she was young and really spunky and spicy, oh my god, she's incredible. And all of this forgotten, these garbage ass singer songwriters. This original song I don't really hit a note at any point because I can't really hold one. So here we go. Pluckety pluck. And you're just like, oh my god, get off the stage. You're hoping Sandman Sims will come out of the grave with a fucking scythe and just be like, whack, But that's the world we got now. Now that the left has come to its full power, you can't even associate the skinheads with having properly cuffed jeans and shiny boots. No, now all they are is it's just the Nazi skinhead white supremacist Pepe Trump Nazis are the naziest Nazis, and skinheads and white supremacist nationalists for Nazis, and it's just sad. These anti-literates that can't string together an argument, ruining everything, ruining fashion, ruining music, ruining all of art, flushing culture down the fucking toilet. So here's another example, actually, of the clear difference between skinheads and the whole white nationalist movement and stuff like that. Gavin and the Proud Boys. Who the fuck do you think these guys are? Have you ever looked at what they're wearing? They're wearing either Lonsdales or they're wearing Freds. And if you know your fucking skinheads, gold and black Freds. That's a scream skinhead. Gold and black Lonsdale. Oh my god, So these are like more like soccer hooligans. So they don't give a shit about all this. No, it's not about white nationalism for them. It's about taking ends, mate. Taking ends. And if you don't understand that, nothing else matters. It's you're too American, or you don't. You don't get it. You don't get the cultural thing. And that's what really is the deal with the Antifa, with this activist, these liberal white activists and stuff. They are part of drugged out rave culture, drunk sex is, that's how they have kids is drunken romps in a taxi. They're stumbling through reality. That's why they're so mad at anybody who keeps themselves properly shaved or in proper shape. This is why they can't stand Beachbody, ads and stuff. It's like these are literally people who it's like every minute they're on struggle. They're on struggle. The struggle is real for them because something in here doesn't work right. And that was kind of the nice thing about skinheads. Skinheads, they like their drink. But a lot of them, these were like military people. These were like people who they owned Vespas. So that means you have to fix the Vespa. They owned Doc Martens that were always shined. That means you have to shine the Doc Martens. They had, they would have everything down to the socks. They would have Argyle socks, so they would, these guys would come out, man, you could just, panties were wet when the skinheads hit the bar. You could just see women didn't know what they were seeing. They were just this crowd of bald guys all dressed really well, and they all were into dancing to Diana and the Supremes. And they were like, what is happening here? What is this? I'm like, this is why it just so Antifa so upsets me. Those kind of people think that the fucking skinhead scene, that they think it dovetails or something like that. And they've been doing this now for decades, where they want to bring the left into the skinhead scene, and the skinheads are like, hey, just leave it alone. And one of the key reasons is so many skinheads are patriotic and religious. And the Antifa people are anti both of those things. And so I really, after a while, it started to really hit me. I'm like, no, at some point, these Antifa people are going to be in the scene, and they're going to see me behind the fucking turntables, and all of this is going to come the fuck apart. I would rather the crew be able to play in a bar that doesn't get torn apart because of what I say on YouTube. So because Antifa is taking everything to the point where they're going after people, hunting people down, and all this shit. I need to put that out there. They hijack everything. They ruin everything. The progressives, the cultural Marxists, the Antifa types, they're all the same type. They try to make every scene about them and their crappy sense of style. How could you have a proper sense of aesthetic when your sthenic qualities aren't there either, and that you don't have wisdom in the center? You have no providence. It means you have to take it all. That's what these people really are. That's why they think all cops are bastards, because cops will stop them from taking everything from everyone else, because that's really what they do when they get together as a group. They get retarded. They hit the piss, hit the fucking smoke, and then they try to hit somebody who they determine is a Nazi, and take it from somebody who's seen this, who's never trusted the revolution or any of that kind of business. That you need manly men with a lot of style who are really cool. You need something there for these people to jump in, steal, to get in like a face sucker, and fill you with alien goo so that you could become some zombie scene like the punks are now. Yeah, later.